presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast, where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
He like Willie. We'll be on the road again.
Who's Willie?
Oh, who's Willie? Come on. Hello and welcome to Strong Blue Line's Cop Talk. I can't believe he said that. I'm Tim Rupp in the Rev.FM studio in Idaho Falls in a now revealed location, Gary. We revealed it last time where we're at. And here's Gary, like, who's Willie?
Who's Willie?
Who's Willie? It's not,
Save
come on,
Willie.
Man.
Yep.
All right. What, Gary, we've got an interesting thing. Yeah, we need to get on track. We got some interesting story today. It comes out of Olympia, Washington, the Great Northwest.
Okay.
Right here, we're part of the Great Northwest.
Yeah.
We're the great in the Northwest part, in case you didn't know. The Northwest is still Washington and Oregon, but we're the great part.
Right.
And so is Minnesota. We'll give Montana part of that. Great.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll give that. Okay. Anyways, here we are. Officer, November 6th. You know what? You know what I noticed today in my email?
What's that?
I'm not getting all this junk email that I've been getting for the last several months, man, from vote for me, vote for this, vote for this. It's finally over with. It's done. We can get back on track now. We'll hopefully, we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
Anyways, so let's just ignore all that, okay?
Yeah, let's please.
Okay, let's please do. Let's honor officers who were killed on this day in the line of duty, November 6th. 1873, right? The Wild West, out of California. So California was not a state at that time. Constable William Stewart Mettler, Kern County Sheriff's Office, California. End of watch today, 1873. Constable William Mettler was shot and killed while attempting to serve an arrest warrant near Tecachapla, something like that. It's an Indian name. I don't know what it is. The man who killed him was a member of a gang of desperados whose leader was this guy named Vasquez, Tercio Vasquez, one of California's most notorious bandits. Now remember, this is 1873. It had not become a state yet, so who's in charge? You just have elected officials in counties and stuff. A member of the gang shot and killed Constable William Hartmount. This was another guy of the Monterey Constable's Sheriff's Office on September 2nd, 1854. So this was 20 years prior. The gang roamed Southern California, robbing and killing people from 1854 to 1874. So for 20 years, this guy Vasquez led it, and he was finally captured in 1874, a year after Constable Mettler was killed. Vasquez, who blamed all the murders on members of his gang. Now, what a guy, right? What a leader.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't do it. It was these guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was hanged in 1875. And so Constable Stewart, we don't know how old he was. We don't know anything about. We just know that he was murdered in 1873 on this date.
Well, this is interim Police Chief Michael Franklin Knapp, Linden Police Department in Washington, end of watch, November 6th, 2019. And he succumbed to injuries sustained the previous evening when he was struck by a pickup truck. So he was crossing the street to attend a special city council meeting at the city hall, which was introducing the 3 finalists for the permanent police chief position.
So he's an interim chief, and he was just a placeholder until they found a chief.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So just crossing the street, struck by a vehicle, and the vehicle that struck him had its headlights off after sunset. And so he was hit. He was flown to a hospital in Seattle with severe injuries, and then he passed away the following day.
Wow, it's just doing, he's doing his work. He's just crossing the street.
Yeah.
I was running this morning, Gary, and it was early before the sun came up, and I was running down Sunnyside Road, and here comes a car on Sunnyside with no lights on.
Huh.
You know, and I think it's just people, they just get in a car. Sometimes you don't think to turn them on. A lot of cars have automatic lights now.
Automatic,
You don't think
yeah.
about it, but this obviously didn't have automatic lights, or if it did, it was turned off.
Mm-hmm.
But driving down the road, 50 miles an hour with no lights on, it was like a gray car, so it was hard to see.
Yeah. I don't know how you can drive with your
I don't
headlights
know.
off.
Just,
I don't know.
you just...
But he was 79 years old.
What?
79.
79.
Yeah.
And he's still an active police officer.
Yeah, and it quite extensive career. United States Army veteran, had been appointed the interim police chief 6 months earlier. Former police officer with the Milpitas, California Police Department, and a deputy sheriff with the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office. Chief of police for the city of Medina, Washington. Was appointed chief of police for the city of Ferndale, Washington. And Chief Knapp was a member of the California Bar Association.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, a graduate of the 100th session of the FBI National Academy and the Foreign Service Institute, United States Department of State. He is survived by a wife, daughter, and 2 grandchildren.
Wow. Does it have his total years of service?
Tour is 49 years.
49 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
79. Gary, at 79, you should be retired doing something, man. But, he's still serving.
Yeah.
79 years old, still serving his community. And, wow.
That's the true blood right there.
Killing the line of duty,
police
man.
officer in your blood of service.
Yeah.
That's,
it is. Wow.
Yep. And you still see, I know you have volunteered for Bonneville County there for a while when you first came, but you'll sometimes see that. You walk into a police department, and at the front desk there might be I don't remember what you call them, but retired
desk sergeant type or what? They're the greeter, service agent, greeter. Depends on what agency you're in.
Yeah,
and they're retired officers.
Yeah, and so they're there to welcome you. Or
a friend of mine I just saw on a Facebook post yesterday. We were in the military together. We were in the Air Force together, and I got out before he did and joined the police department. He got out, I think, a year or two after I did and joined the police department. He's still serving.
Wow.
40 years. 40 years on the police department. He's a sergeant. He's been a sergeant probably for 20 years, man. It's crazy.
I'll be darned.
But he's still there.
That's cool.
So he's still in good shape and everything.
And
he's
that's
in better
amazing.
Shape than I am. Yeah.
But you're still serving as well, Tim. That's kind of my point, is that you're a different capacity, but you have
the strong blue line foundation.
There's a strong blue line. And that's great.
So we've been traveling. Back November. September and October. We've put 9,000 miles.
Wow.
On something like that. We went Minnesota, Iowa, Tennessee, Texas.
Yeah.
We've been a lot of places doing seminars and speaking in churches and speaking at different places, going to conferences and stuff. So
yeah.
It's been good. Once again, it's been good to have Sherry to go with me.
Yeah, it's been
makes
blessing.
things a lot better. So, but now we're back for a couple months, and then we'll be heading south again after the first year. So, but here we go. Hey,
here it is.
So, and you can listen to formerly aired shows of Cop Talk. They can be found on Amazon, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcast platforms. Thank you, Mr. Gary Austin, for putting them everywhere.
It's a pleasure. It's a lot of fun.
You're just inundated by the Cop Talk show. Okay, hey, this comes out of Washington. Washington PD officers no longer allowed to personalize equipment. It sounds like a pretty heinous violation they're doing there, Gary. Personalizing equipment. Well, it's after an officer involved shooting settlement. Well, this comes out of Olympia, Washington. It's written by Mike Carter of the Seattle Times. I think I found this on Police One, but it's something they took out of the Seattle Times, dated August 26, so a couple months ago. Olympia, Washington, a settlement reached with the family of a 37-year-old black man shot and killed by Olympia police in 2022. The city will pay $600,000 and has agreed to ban officers from the personalization of their equipment. effectively bringing to an end the display of polarizing symbols like the thin blue line flag.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Gary, explain to me how the thin blue line flag is a polarizing symbol.
I was going to ask you the same thing.
So
I just don't see it.
You know, the flag, and I'm not sure if I read it in this article or somewhere else. It was started, the one we think of, and if you think, what is the thin blue line flag? The thin blue line has been around for a long time. Officers refer to themselves as the thin blue line, and it really came out of a war. I can't remember which war it was. It was before this country was founded. It was a thin red line because the Army were wearing red uniforms, and they wore the uniform, and they considered themselves a thin blue line that would stop people from coming in. Well, police adopted that and said, we're the thin blue line because we're the thin blue line that stands between chaos and freedom and safety and all that kind of stuff. And so that's where the thin blue line, from the thin blue line flag, I think it came out in like 2014. So it's only been around for about 10 years. And what it is, it's a black and white rendition of the American flag, but that one stripe right in the middle is blue. That's what it is. And we've seen that same flag as with green for military, and we've seen that same flag as red for fire department and different things. But they're saying it's a polarizing symbol. So anyway, so we go.
So this is the idea of a thin blue line can be traced all the way back to a 1854 British battle formation.
Oh, 1854. So I was wrong. It wasn't. It wasn't before this country.
A thin red line used during the Crimean War.
Okay.
Then popularized in art, poetry, and song. So
okay.
Cool.
So 1854. So they took it from the Brits in Crimea.
Yeah.
And okay. So that's where. And I didn't know that's where it came from.
Yeah.
You know, but that was, I did a little research, and that's where it came from.
That's awesome.
Thank you for Gary.
Good knowledge.
Yeah, there we go. The details of the unusual settlement of a wrongful death. Now think about this, Gary. Here's what was going on. A guy was killed by the police officers. In line, there was an officer-involved shooting. He was shot dead, a 37-year-old black male. And in a settlement with the family wanted in the settlement that officers not display the thin blue line flag on their equipment.
That was part of the family saying...
That's part of the family wanting to do this. This is like... To me, it's a bit of it's a lot of an overreach.
It is.
Like, you're going to tell... If I was chief of police of Olympia Police Department, you're going to tell my department not to do this. How about making a suggestion and letting me make that decision?
Exactly.
You know, if these are your wishes, this is okay. Well, thank you. We'll consider them, and I will make a decision. But why are we allowing a family to make this decision? Mm-hmm. You know, according.
Well, it's silly in the fact that, at least for me, that it's not politicized. It's not on one side or another. I know that they're saying it's racist or whatever, but it's not. It is law enforcement.
It's law enforcement.
It's not.
If you're a black police officer, if you're a Hispanic police officer, if you're a white Hispanic officer, if you're an Asian police officer, if you're a male or female,
doesn't matter.
They all say, yeah, we're the thin blue line.
Yeah.
Now, not maybe every officer does that, but you know, we have brothers and sisters part of the thin blue line, and I don't care where you come from.
Exactly.
Black, white, male, female, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Part of that thin blue line.
That's bothersome.
And it's part of, it's like it's a uniform, if you will, that unifies all officers in a brotherhood. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're committed to protecting. That's what it means to me. So the agreement also requires that the Olympia Police Chief Rich Allen, his deputy and assistant chiefs, and four officers involved in Green's Death complete a state training on, quote, on the historical intersection between race and policing, end quote. Furthermore, that the city agreed to demands that all Olympia police officers receive more training on crisis intervention. As part of the settlement, the police department is required to update its policy within 1 year to broadly prohibit officers from decorating their equipment, no matter the subject matter, whether that banning of any particular symbols. During the fatal encounter with Green, officers had displayed Blue Lives Matter's emblems and a sticker reminiscent of the Don't Tread on Me flag. So officers displayed Blue Lives Matter's emblems. So I'm not sure what that is, Blue Lives Matters. That come out of the Black Lives Matters. Say, you know what, Blue Lives Matters too. And it became racist to say all lives matters. So it's like, okay, how is that racist?
Exactly.
Every life matters. Anyways, the training requirements and policy changes were required by Green's family members, who were prepared to file a federal civil rights lawsuits against the city if their demands weren't met, the lawyer said. So they threatened with the federal civil rights, and we talked about this. This was decided in state court. In state court, there are limits on how much somebody can be sued for. So the city will pay $600,000. Now, $600,000, Gary, to you and me, that's a good sum of money. You know, you can buy a decent house maybe for that nowadays. $600,000. But federal, it's unlimited. So they may sue for $3 or $4 million, $5 million, whatever it could be. So they threatened to do this. And I'm thinking they went to state court because they just wanted to settle and get out of it. And I think the city just wanted to settle because they didn't want to go to federal court and face anything else. They just wanted to get out from under it, take the hit and go on.
Yeah.
I think that's what was going on. The training requirements and policy changes were required by Green's family members. Okay, that's right. Okay. The settlement requires that the Olympia Police Department take steps addressing the use of force, crisis intervention, and police culture, said Olympia civil rights attorney Leslie Cushman, who, along with the Seattle attorney Gabe Galanda, represented the family and fashioned the settlement. We have been forever impacted by the death of our son, brother, father, and uncle, the family said in a statement. Tim did not, it's Tim Green, that was the guy that was shot and killed. Tim did not deserve to die this way, and we do not want what happened to anybody else. Data from the Olympia Police Department auditor shows that the overall use of force by officers is down 24% since 2022. The vast majority of those cases, 83%, involve people in crisis. Okay, so the use of force is down since 2022. Why is that, you think? Because people are not acting like idiots anymore.
Right.
They finally, so it's down. But yet 83% of those people are involved in crisis. Listen to this statement. Using force against people in crisis is a bad practice and will inevitably result in more injuries and death in Olympia. So the guy is doing something, he's threatening people, but he's in crisis, so we don't take action against him?
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
I mean, it needs to be considered, all these things. The family is also asking the Thurston County Prosecutor's Office to reopen a criminal investigation into the shooting. The prosecutor found that the shooting was justified and lawful in December of 2023. So this has already been to court.
Yeah.
It's been to criminal court, and they said it was justified. Cushman was the author of Initiative 940, which overhauled the state's deadly force laws and put in place new requirements for police to focus on de-escalation. She pointed out that the recent conviction for second-degree murder of an Auburn police officer, Jeff Nelson, under the I-940's provision should prompt a second look at the Greens case. Let me tell you this. They made laws after the alleged offense was already considered. They cannot go back and apply them laws to something. That's called ex post facto law. You can't do it.
Okay.
Then the way to explain this, Gary, well, what do you mean by that? Let's say that you parked your car on a city street, and it was legal to park there. While you were parked there, they come along and paint a red curb.
Oh, okay.
And then they ticket you. They can't do that. You were already parked there.
Ah.
Now, you parked there one day, they paint the curb red, you come back the next day, it's a fire lane, you can't park there.
Okay.
But that's what ex post facto is. You can't do it.
Huh.
You can't make a law and then go back and charge somebody with it.
Okay.
So they can't do that
That makes
anyways.
sense.
Yeah. According to the reports obtained by the family, Olympia police knew Green had responded to calls about his erratic behavior. So these are calls that are being made to this guy for at least 4 months leading up to the shooting. Two of the officers who responded to the call that led to Green's death, Sergeant Joseph Bellamy and Joseph Anderson, had responded to Green's house just 2 days earlier, according to the tort claim. That's the lawsuit in state court. They knew that he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and had been off his medications. So the guy has been diagnosed with medical problems and is not taking his medications. It was Anderson who fired the 3 bullets that ended Green's life. On August 22nd, 2022, Anderson, Bellamy, and 2 other officers, Brenda Anderson and Caleb Schaefer, responded to a report for a disturbance at Starbucks on Martin Way in Olympia. Callers reported a man screaming and banging around inside the store. Green, obviously in crisis and acting out, was overheard saying that he wanted to kill everyone in town and said, "Call the cops." When Joseph Anderson arrived at just after 10:20 a.m., Green was punching the ground by the side of the store. As other officers arrived, he walked away into traffic. The dispatchers noted that Green was known to be mentally ill, and Anderson acknowledged that it was the same person previous call 2 days earlier and appeared very hostile. Bellamy, a supervisor, showed up about 10:30 and determined the cause of that existed to the probable cause existed to arrest Green for a misdemeanor. So they went to arrest him. Bellamy returned to his patrol car to get a less lethal projectile launcher, while the 3 other officers moved in to surround Green at Starbucks at the drive-thru. So they were trying to make an apprehension on him.
Right.
The sergeant went to get a less lethal something to stop him. The claim alleges Green became frightened and poured the contents of a backpack on the ground, retrieving a softcover Bible and folding knife. So now he's got a weapon in his hand. Witness said Green held the Bible to his head and appeared to be praying at one point, according to the claim officers. The officers Brenda Anderson and Schaefer both tased him, but failed to incapacitate him. So they tried less lethal on him, Gary.
Right.
And they couldn't do it. The claim said that the family was offended because the evidence showed Anderson, after shooting Green, began life-saving measures while wearing tactical gloves adorned with Blue Lives Matters insignia. So they were upset that he had a knife. They surrounded him. They tried to do what they could. He produced a weapon. They tased him. It didn't work. He apparently came at the officer with a knife. In self-defense, he shot and killed him. As soon as he shot him, he went down. The threat was over with. What did the officer do? He went up there to try to save his life.
Right.
He put on gloves. The gloves said Blue Lives Matters on them. And because he used these gloves to try to save the life of a man that just threatened to kill him, I don't get it, Gary.
I don't either.
This is
makes no
unbelievable.
sense.
You know, let's focus on, I understand their concern. Were the officers properly trained? If not, let's get them the proper training.
Right.
Let's do
important.
that. But maybe the family needs to own some responsibility here.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, maybe, I mean, anyways.
I agree.
It's a terrible
Tim,
situation, but let's, not displaying a flag is not going to make any difference with going forward. Anyways, hey, we're out of time, Gary. Can't believe it already. Thanks for listening. If you have a topic question you want to address on Cop Talk, send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints at coptalk@therev.fm. That's coptalk@therev.fm. A thought from the good book today. Senseless people do not know, fools do not understand, that though the wicked spring up like grass and all evildoers flourish, they will be destroyed forever. Thank you for joining us and helping us to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.